All right, 25 minutes after the hour, an admitted al-Qaeda operative released from a U.S. prison for time served. I'm talking about Ali al-Mari. He was arrested as an enemy combatant while a student at the University of Illinois in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, but he didn't go to Gitmo. He went to a federal prison despite this warning from President George W. Bush.
Al-Sali was training in poisons at an al-Qaeda camp in Afghanistan and had been sent to the United States before September the 11th to serve as a sleeper agent ready for follow-on attacks. KSM brought al-Sali to meet Osama bin Laden, where he pledged his loyalty to the al-Qaeda leader and offered himself up as a martyr.
And that martyr is now safe at home in Qatar and could probably cut a good book deal now. Joining us right now is retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. He's also the CEO and president for the National Center for Policy Analysis and a former Florida congressman. Colonel, your reaction to his freedom?
Well, it is absolutely unconscionable that we still have an environment where the enemy is continuing to fight us, but we are releasing the enemy back to join the ranks. And so when you look at several U.S. statutes, it seems that the Obama administration continues to provide aid and comfort and material support to the enemy, as well as aiding and abetting their efforts. Look, we cannot continue to look at this war against Islamic totalitarianism and Islamic fascism and jihadism as some law enforcement operation. We cannot look at this as we have to have evidence that has to be presented. And in this case of al-Mari, here was someone that was kind of like the advanced man that was going out and scouting different locations to use cyanide gas in dams and other water supply sources. And why would we release him back to Qatar, knowing that Qatar is the country where they are housing the leader of Hamas and their relationship with Islamic terrorism?
Colonel, this isn't even part of the president's odd quest to close Gitmo while releasing these terrorists. He's in a supermax prison. He's in our country. There was no pressure to get rid of him. What is the upside of getting rid of him? So he could put in a pickpocket in his cell? What is the issue here? How is that acceptable?
Yeah. Well, it's not acceptable, and once again, we have to ask, what is the deal that is being cut between the Obama administration and some of these other countries that are known sponsors of Islamic terrorism? You know, Qatar is the exact same country where we released the 5 senior members of the Taliban, who were supposed to be monitoring those 5 senior members of the Taliban. But of course, in this year, 2015, they are free to return back to Afghanistan while we still have troops in Afghanistan that potentially they could go back on the battlefield and lead attacks against them. So it makes no sense whatsoever, other than the fact the president is trying to convince himself that holding these terrorists means that it's a recruiting tool.
Colonel, what do they have in common? The 5 that were released in Uruguay, the 5 that were released in Oman, the 5 that were released back to Afghanistan, those given back to to Qatar in the Bergdahl deal. What do they have in common? They are all free. They're going from life in prison and possible death to freedom. What have they done to earn their freedom?
They have not done anything to earn their freedom. And furthermore, the real thing that they all have in common is that they're still the enemy. They are still Islamic terrorists. They are still jihadists. And now we have released them to go right back and continue to do what they have been doing since they pledged allegiance to al-Qaeda, ISIS, or whomever.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, thanks.